Shalom, family, shalom. We'd like to do part two of covenant versus religion. For those that have not seen the first video, I would suggest that you go back and watch the first part. You know, and hopefully you can take the information from the first part along with this, and connect the dots and you know make it make sense. Let me state this before I get off into this. This is not legal advice. I do not offer legal advice. If you're seeking legal advice, find yourself an attorney. You know, this is just for information. This is just information. What you do with it is whatever you do with it. But this book, family, this book, right, the Bible. The Bible, most of our people just associate it with this religious ideology or some religious text. The book is full of history. The book is full of law. The book is, about a trust that on an estate, a promise for a certain group of people. It's about the rise of a nation, as well as about the fall of a nation, about the rise of a nation. If you would choose to use the word rebirth of nation, that's still the same. But in this book, family, a lot of our people just, again, they're associated with this religious ideology. Now, Hamashiach says, if I tell you earthly things and you don't understand, how much more heavenly things? And just paraphrasing. If you cannot understand earthly things, how much more heavenly things? This book is very spiritual, very, very spiritual. But a lot of our people just throw that word spiritual around, as a convenience. But like I said, the book is very, very spiritual. But if you can't even understand the earthly things, how much more the heavenly things, the spiritual things. The adversary has built his whole society. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. The adversary has built his whole society, even his government, off the Bible. A lot of people like I said, a lot of people kick against it, dismiss it as some book that the so-called white man wrote. That's what they say. But this is how unlearned these people are. But anyway, dealing with this book, dealing with the Bible, right? Like I said before, this is not legal advice. Do not offer legal advice. If you need legal advice, find yourself an attorney. This is just information. But anyway, to show you how this man has used our records. Okay, I'm going to what they're called the laws of commerce 10 maximums. The laws of commerce 10 maximums. And something should jump out at you right there. Like the 10 Commandments, right? We know that there's 613 laws in the Bible. 613 laws. That's a whole nother subject. But anyway, dealing with the 10 Commandments, because most people in religion and Christianity, they say, well, I follow the 10 Commandments. Probably not. You probably don't. But again, that's just a whole nother subject. But most people know or have heard of the 10 Commandments. But in this man's government, in his society, he has what they call the laws of commerce 10 maximums. And that's where he got his laws from. He got them out of the Bible. If you would Google that or write that down and research that whenever you get time, you're going to find that's where he got the principles from. Like I stated in the previous video, wisdom is the principal thing, but with all thy getting, get understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing, but with all that get understanding. You have to learn the principles. Learn the principles. Our people just don't want to learn the principles. You know, our people have a lot of knowledge, but they don't have any wisdom. You know, once you obtain knowledge, once you take that knowledge and you put it to use, it becomes wisdom. But anyway, let's read the first one. Matter of fact, before I read it, let's get this. Let's read the first statement. The law of commerce are expressed in 10 maxims, which are the eternal and unchanged principles of the law. Let's read that one more time. The law of commerce are expressed in 10 maxims, which are the eternal and unchanging principles of the law. The first one is, a workman is worthy of his hire. A workman is worthy of his hire. Number 2, all are equal under the law. And once you look at these principles, family, you're going to find that he got these principles out of the Bible. So again, I mean, once you go back to your records, you will be able to see how he built his society through commerce. Right? All are equal under the law. I tell you what, family. Before I go too far, let's read something. Let's go to the book of Job. Let's go to the book of Job. Job 5. Job chapter 5, verse 12. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. Salakia. Now, that word enterprise is very interesting, so we're going to touch upon that in a minute. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. Let's go to enterprise right fast and show you why I say what I say. Again, this is just what I see. You may not see this. It's just what I see. But enterprise, right? Enterprise. A venture or undertaking, especially one involving financial commitment. Enterprise, right? Everything this man gets you into is based on some kind of financial commitment on some level. Like I said, when your name appears on, whether it's a credit card bill, whether it's a student loan, whether it's utilities, whatever, it's in all capital letters, which is capital diminutus maximum. So you have lost your status from one of freedom to one of bondage. And again, you agree with that. No, if anybody know anything about bondage, a slave cannot own anything. A slave cannot own anything. This is why the next thing that I'm about to read to you is very important. In commerce, number 3, in commerce, truth is sovereign. In commerce, truth is sovereign. So he's telling you you're a slave. Number 4, truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit. So in order to deal with this, you have to put it in the form of an affidavit, letting him know that you're not a slave in many aspects. I mean, you have to figure out the verbiage. I'm just giving you the principle. You have to figure this out. I'm just giving you the principle. What you choose to do with this is strictly up to you. Number 5, a matter must be expressed to be resolved. A matter must be expressed to be resolved. Number 6, an unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce. This is why when he send you some information, if you don't rebut it, it stands as truth. He send you affidavit, whatever, for some kind of debt, you don't respond, it's true. He's saying that you're a slave, basically. You don't respond, it's true. Again, I'm just giving you the principles. You need to figure out because our people just want information, but they don't want to go do the research. I'm just giving you the information to help you, will help me. This will help me. I mean, you may not see this. This is what I saw. This is what I see. Number 7, an unrebutted affidavit becomes a judgment in commerce. Everything he does is based upon commerce. Everything he does is based on some form of contractual financial commitment. Number 8, he who leaves the field of battle first does not, this is what it's saying, does not respond to an affidavit, loses by default. So if you don't respond with an affidavit, you lose by default. Number 9, sacrifice is the measure of credibility. What are you willing to sacrifice? Number 10, a lien or claim under commercial law can only be satisfied by the following actions. And again, like I said, once you look up this family, you'll see it, and there's a whole bunch of other principles that go with that. A rebuttal affidavit of truth, supported by evidence point by point, payment, agreement, resolutions by a jury according to the rules of common law, because truth is sovereign. Again, go pull this up, family, and look at it. And if you are able to get out of your comfort zone, you are going to see everything that this man has done and built his society off is based upon your records. All are equal under the law, right? All are equal under the law. Let's go to Leviticus, family. Let's go to Leviticus. Leviticus 24. Okay, 24 and 22. Ye shall have one manner of law, as well for the stranger, as for one of your own country. For I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Again, that's where they get the principles from. You know, family. Again, like I said, for those that have not seen the first video, you should go watch that first video. I mean, if you can't really connect the dots, this should help you make more sense of this. But being that we were considered civil little mortal tools to these people, we had to fight for civil rights, right? Fighting for equality, right? Tell you what, let's get that. Let's get that. Let's go to the law book. Let's go to the law book, and let's find equality. Equality, right? Equality. The condition of possessing substantially the same rights, privilege, and immunities, and being liable to the stability, the same duties, right? So it's like it, and being liable for the same, substantially the same duties. So like it. That's what equality is, right? Equality guaranteed under equal protection clause is equality under the same condition and among persons similarly situated. Classifications must not be arbitrary, having substantially relations or legitimate objection to be accomplished. This is why when you get into a court setting, you're looking for equity, because equity is how you give people equality. But if you're not playing on an equal role, how can you have equality? This is principles I see. You may not see this. This is what I see. Let's deal with that. Let's go to Psalms. Let's go to the book of Psalms. Psalms 98. Psalms 98. Psalms 98. Psalms 98. Right? Psalms 98 verse 9. Before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth. I want to make this make sense to you, family. With righteousness he shall judge the world, and the people with equity. When the judge is sitting there, like I said before, you have a judge, you have a jury, you have somebody sitting on his left-hand side or his right-hand side, or whatever, sometimes they have them on the right, sometimes they have them on but you get the principle. But the judge is supposed to judge with equity. But if you don't have equal rights, how can you be judged with equity? But if you don't have a rebuttal with an affidavit, because this society is built of commerce, to get you into some kind of contractual obligation, some kind of financial commitment. Again, family, this is just the principles I see. You may not see that. Let's jump down to Psalms 99, verse 4. The king's strength also loveth judgment. Though thou hast established equity, thou executed judgment and righteousness in Jacob. See, all are supposed to be equal under the law. But when you're already behind the 8-ball, if I can use that term, because you remember your condition have been changed from one of freedom to one of bondage. Tell you what, let's do this. Let's get another scripture. Let me find it, family. Let me find it fast. Okay, Proverbs 22. Proverbs chapter 22. Verse 7. The rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. The borrower is a servant to a lender. See, this is again why they always try to get you into some kind of contractual commitment, making you a servant. And again, they don't give you equity. They don't deal with equity. This is why you had to fight for equality. Because under his law, we were not all equal. Again, I'm just giving you the principles, family. See, this is why understanding the Most High, like I said, disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that his hands cannot perform his enterprise. Wow. Again, this is just the principles I see. You may not see that. But again, this is a covenant. This is a covenant, and understand covenant. If we don't understand our own covenant, how can we understand his contracts? Covenant contract, one and the same. But when we're in religion, it just goes over our head. If I tell you earthly things, how, and you don't understand how much more heavenly things. Because this man, he's trying to be the Most High right there. I mean, again, if you can see it, he's trying to be the judge. He's trying to be the judge. I'm gonna show you how he get the principles into his own society. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy. I want to say chapter 15. I could be wrong. Let me look at it right fast. Deuteronomy. Yes, Deuteronomy chapter 15. Start off at verse 1. At the end of 7 years, thou shalt make a release. And this is the manner of the release. Every creditor that lendeth aught unto his neighbor shall release it. He shall not exact it of his neighbor or of his brother, because it is called the Lord's release. Of a foreigner thou hast exacted again, but that is which is thine, which is thy brother, thine hand shall release. This is why, what that is, like bankruptcy or whatever stays on your record for like 7 years or what have you. This is where they get the principles from. This is what they did. Again, he built his whole society off our records. Again, family, there's more, what I'm saying. Again, I'm going to cut it there, because I want you guys to be able to take the information, because that's what it is, and research it on your own. Don't believe nothing I say. Understand what a covenant is. Come out of religion. If you don't understand your own covenant, how can you understand and break down strongholds that the adversary has used against you? But anyway, family, with that being said, I'm going to cut it there. As usual, peace, love. Shalom.